I didn't get on the New York Times bestseller list because a lot of individuals bought the book. Be fully transparent. That wasn't the case. I got on the New York Times bestselling list because...
Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Patel. What's up, Neil?
Thanks for having me. I didn't even know I was a Los Angeles Times bestselling author until now.
I don't know.
Well,
I
you're not
found
a
it
real
on.
author if you don't, unless you don't know all your awards. I hear that's the.
That's credibility check right there.
Times. I didn't know the USA Today. I didn't know the Los Angeles Times.
I mean, it's all on the book description of Amazon. So I don't know. Maybe check that out. I actually bought the book 2 days ago, hoping it would get here so I could hold it up. But it's going to get here like right as we finish. But I am going to read it. So just so you know. But let's get into the book. New York Times best-selling author of the book Hustle: The Power to Change Your Life with Money, Meaning, and Momentum. So I'm curious, Neil, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the process of writing that book was like and what inspired you to actually put it all together?
So the thesis behind the book was to become a New York Times bestselling author, which would help with speaking and my career. It didn't really help much. I co-authored it. I worked with my co-authors on the book. They mainly did most of the writing. I did mainly most of the promotion, and that's how we ended up cranking out a book.
I'm curious, why do you think it didn't help? Because just to preface this, I've seen so many great authors create movements with books, and the feedback on this one seems exceptional. So, like, let's unpack that.
I think one co-authors, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with my co-authors, but it wasn't just me as an author, so probably didn't help as much. The second is it's not related to my industry, right? I spend all my time in marketing. The book isn't related to marketing. So I think those are the two reasons.
Are you going to do another book?
No.
No?
Don't ever care to do another one. It's a pain in the butt, headache, not a fun process.
Cool. Glad we opened with it. Great.
Well, Neil, real quick, before we move on from the book, what was some valuable feedback you got from, people that were reading it before you put it out, or your editors that you kind of took with you on your journey in the marketing, SEO, PR space going forward?
Yeah, so we didn't get a ton of feedback other than either I liked the book or I didn't like the book, or I could change this, you change that. People are just telling me, I remember when I was writing the book, they would always complain, the publisher would always complain, hey, you need to generate more sales, you're not getting enough book sales. And I'm like, bull crap. I'm like, we had so many pre-sales and corporations ordering so many books, and they would compare me to other people that they gave a 500 grand advance to as well. And I knew some of those individuals, so I'd call them and be like, hey, dude, how many books did you sell? They'd tell me the number, the real number. And I'm like, why are you guys complaining? We've sold more than them. I'm like, chill out, right? But they always wanted more sales. And it was just tough. I would say in just corporate orders alone, I'm pretty sure we sold more than like 50 or 60,000 copies just in corporate sales.
Now, when you say corporate sales, do you mean companies that are giving away at their like industry shows or to their staff?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, we all know I don't know how to read, but I bought your book. Oh, wow. It doesn't want to show on Audible. Show the logo. Okay, this isn't working. I bought the book and it's not letting me show it. I did Audible, but yes. That seems pretty crazy. So they were just constantly just giving you pressure to sell more books, even though you were doing well.
It's the New York Times bestseller. Listen, more than 1 week in a row. So we had enough volume. It's just, of course, they want. You can't blame them. They're in the business of just generating sales. And the corporate orders were really easy for me to get because I'm pretty decently well connected in the corporate world. So it's really easy for me to go to corporations and be like, buy $100,000 worth of books, and go to the next one, buy another $200,000 book, buy 50,000. Like, it's not hard to get to $1 million in, book sales just from corporations.
But the economics for you as an author and your co-authors are pretty shitty when it comes to actually publishing with a publisher, right?
I would have made more money if I self-published.
When I just bought your book on Audible, do they give you something like, do you know how much you make from one Audible purchase? It's like not much, right?
I have no idea.
Wow.
I didn't care about the economics. I did the book so I could add New York Times bestselling author to my bio.
It is. It
So-
does look nice on your LinkedIn.
Well,
I
that's
was
what
pretty impressed with your introduction. I don't know. I liked it.
I was gonna ask, Neil. Did you know it was gonna get that kind of success before you even published it? Like, it wasn't even a matter of, are we gonna become a New York Times bestselling author? It was more just when.
Yeah, well, I knew because I knew I could game the system. So the thing with the New York Times list is they have a formula on how to get there. They look at how many books you get ordered in the first week. So I need pre-sales help with that. They tell you, the rough number. There's a company in San Diego, or I don't know if they still exist, called Result Source. So they know like the formula really well, and they're just like, here's how many pre-orders you need. So you get the corporate orders, you give them the money. They'll order the books throughout all different places in the world or in the United States and different cities. And then they collect all the books and then they send them to the corporations that ordered them. That's pretty much how most people game the system. I didn't get on the New York Times bestseller list because a lot of individuals bought the book. Be fully transparent. That wasn't the case. I got on the New York Times bestselling list because I had a ton of corporations that I knew with really deep pockets that were publicly traded, just be like, here's 100 grand, here's 200 grand, etc. And that adds up super fast when you're trying to sell books. You can sell a lot of volume when people are buying 10,000 copies at a time, or 5,000, or whatever the number is.
So you say in the book, or with the book, that it didn't really move the needle for you as a speaker or your career, but the title, and I had full transparency, I didn't buy it or read it. Sorry.
No problem at all.
I didn't know until I got the topics today. I'll read the book. But my question is based on the title, which is The Power to Change Your Life with Money, Meaning, and Momentum. Do you feel like putting out that many copies of the book actually had a ripple effect that changed people's lives? Because that is an interesting outcome as well.
That for sure. I've gotten a lot of people emailing me over the years how the books helped them, and I'm happy about that. I was just talking about it from a selfish standpoint, in which the goal of releasing the book in the first place, before I even started typing one word, or my co-author started typing one word and we started working on it, was New York Times bestselling author in hopes to get more money as a speaker and generate more business. And from that end, it did not help. But from the end user perspective, got a ton of amazing feedback, and majority of the people that have come up to me have said they like it. Maybe a lot of people don't like it, and those people don't want to say anything, and for those people, I am sorry. But for the majority of people that have come up to me, they have said they liked it.
That's really cool. And as far as
I just be neutral and break it down from a marketing standpoint, the reason I want to be super transparent is a lot of people still to this day hit me up and say, I want to write a book in hopes that it'll help me with things like speaking and whatnot. And I do think it can. It just has to be very industry specific. And I don't know if you need to be a New York Times bestseller. It's more so I think it needs to be very industry specific.
Did you sell anything in the book as a backend?
Not that I know.
Yeah. So I've spoken with a lot of authors and ghostwriters, and the consensus is basically like, you don't write a book for any reasonable financial outcome unless you have a back end, courses.
Like Obama or Trump or president, you're gonna make a killing. Or Tim Ferriss,
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, Tools of Titans is a recommended purchase of your book on Amazon. Speaking of Tim Ferriss.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tim's written amazing books. Tim's a great author.
Yeah, big fan as well. So when it comes to speaking, I'm curious, do you find that because obviously your back end is Neil Patel Digital and selling agency and doing marketing, and that's your real skill set in your organization. Do you find that speaking is a key component in driving new business into your agency? Or what is the effect of speaking that you have found, and how's it evolved over your career?
Sure. So it used to be where I charge for speaking. Like, how can I get, when I first started, it was like 5-10 grand. Now it could be 50, 100 grand for a speech, sometimes less depending on the venue and who the audience is. Sometimes I don't even care for the money. Actually, majority of the times now it's shifted, in which I started to speak for money, and I got up to 7 figures a year really quickly. I think it took like 4 years to get that just from speaking, like my fees, which is pure profit, right? That's after speaker bureaus, etc., because sometimes they send you speaking gigs and they take a cut. And what I found with my current company, NP Digital, right, is an ad agency, we're global. I'll go and I'll speak in countries like Mexico City, so that way more people in Mexico know we have an agency. Or I'll go speak at a conference in Brazil, maybe VTech or whatever, the local event may be. And what I found is the money is a terrible ROI versus how much money, for me at least, I can make in business. Because my business is a decent size, right? We have like 750 plus employees. And just in the ad agency alone. And when you look at it, one contract can easily be not $1 million, but millions of dollars. And in some cases, 8 figures. So you get one of those, you're making more in profit from one of those a year than you would from any speaking gig. And if a customer pays you on average for 5-6 years, you're really making the residual money, right? So what I ideally like to do from speaking, and I found this to be the ideal scenario, speak at the right events where my ideal clients are there, like the big corporations. And not just the big corporations, but the people who are decision makers at those big corporations. And instead of charging for speaking, try to speak for free. I don't even care if I have to pay for travel, but require them to set up meetings or a small room where we speak just to those individuals and break down case studies and stuff like that. That's fishing with dynamite. We pick up tons of business from that, or we get brand recognitions with those employees and decision makers at those businesses. Eventually they hop around to other companies and you start getting business that way as well. That's done really well for us. That can generate millions and millions and millions a year, and even tens of millions. So we speak quite a bit. That's been a better strategy for us than just me going to a conference and charging to speak.